John with ProFusion Studio, and I'm really happy to introduce a new product that I think is going to be a big hit with all of you out there. It's called Satin Shimmers, and basically it is a dichroic coated mica decal or water slide transfer that you can fuse into your glass or even ceramics for that matter. The product comes in a package like this. It's a 4.5 by 4.5 water slide transfer. Comes complete with instructions on each one. There are 7 colors: gold, silver, copper, rose, lilac, iris, and mint. And we have them all laid out here in front. Now, every color comes with a black backing, which is, it starts out like this. We put a black layer of enamel down, and then we lay the color on top of it because it is a dichroic color and it needs a black background to really pop. So if we look over here, just over to your right, we'll see that we have the unpackaged product, and each color has a little fired square of the glass with it on it, so you can see the difference between what it looks like after it's fired and before it's fired. Now, the ones that show up real good are the ones that have the black backing on them. We have 3 that look pretty much like a pale color, and these are representative of the translucent, the 3 translucent colors that we have: iris, mint, and lilac. And these do not have a black backing on them, but this is this color, this is this color, and this is this color. But it doesn't have a black backing on it, just like dichroic glass. If it's on clear, it doesn't do much till you put it behind something behind it that would cause it to reflect a different color. So that's going to be kind of interesting. I'll show you what we can do with some of the translucent colors as well. So we've got 7 colors, all of them on a black background, and 3 of the cool colors, iris, mint, and lilac, on the translucents. So how do we use these? Well, let's first talk about the tools that you're going to need. You'll need a bowl of distilled water, some alcohol to clean your glass, a way to cut the decals. You can either use punches, a knife, scissors, even a Cricut machine can cut these out. You're going to need a kiln, some paper towels, and that's about it. We're ready to go. Alright, so I'm going to make a glass tile design with circles on it. I've taken the liberty of going ahead and punching a bunch of these circles out using these various sizes punches here. So I'm just going to put them in the water. You want to put them in there for a while. I'd say about 30 or 40 seconds, and they'll start to soak off. I'm putting the bigger ones in first because when you use these decals and you're going to overlap them, the decals that you put on first will look like they're in the foreground. In other words, they don't stick to one another, and when you overlap them, the ones that you overlap that you think are going to be on top, they'll look like they're in the background. It's kind of an unusual little twist of things. So I'm going to start out with the big ones first and put them in there, and in another few seconds they'll start coming off the paper. They'll start sliding. See how that one's starting to slide there just a little bit? I'm going to leave that in just a little while longer. You can see where it's starting to come off the paper just a tad bit. It's not quite ready. And you want to leave them on the paper. They can float off the paper, and if that happens, maybe I can get one to float off the paper. What you do is you get a hold of the, let's say this one floated off the paper. You can take the paper that's down the bottom, pick it up with your tweezers, and bring that up and pick the decal up. If you just try to pick the decal up, it'll fold up on itself and you'll have a mess. So you bring it over here and you wet your surface that you're gonna use it on, and you just slide the decal off. You get the surface wet so you can adjust the decal once it's on the surface. You want to get all the wrinkles out of it. And once you got a wet surface, you can move it around. I'm going to wet this surface a little more. And we'll get this so we can slide it around. And when you get it to where you want it, you take your paper towel and you blot it dry, and you kind of use a rolling motion inside to out, like that. And you want to make sure it's stuck everywhere, and you can kind of turn your tile to the side, and if you see any like little bubbles or ridges, that means you still need to blot. Okay, so since I want the big ones to be in the foreground, I'm putting them on first. Okay, so here I'm going to pick this lilac one up, and I'm going to overlap it. Now, since they don't stick to one another, when this comes out of the kiln and we wash it off, this gold is going to look like it's on top of that lilac color right there. So here again, put it on, blot it, make sure I get all the bubbles out, all the wrinkles out. So it's going to go pretty fast. I'm going to do the copper one now. Notice how I started it? Well, let's get the small side over there like this. Let's see if we can. Since the surface is wet, you want to keep the surface wet where you're putting the decal. You can slide it around. Let's make that overlap there a little bit. And notice how it's kind of wrinkled. I want to, as I'm blotting that, I want to make sure all the bubbles are out, and then it's, especially around the edges where it's overlapping, I want to make sure that's stuck all the way down in there. So you just keep adding your circles on. Let's say we don't have a mint colored yet, so we'll go with the smaller size, and we'll come down here with the mint colored. So we can get all the different colors in for you to see. Let's do an iris up in the corner here, the next size, like that. And we can do this one over here. And you can even kind of wrap it around the edges. I'll do this one here where you can see it goes around the edge. These are pliable. They don't have to be just on flat surfaces. When we do the video on the ceramics, you'll see that we go around all sorts of edges and lips and all sorts of stuff of vessels. I'm going to put some more in here. And we just keep going till we get it where we want it. Okay, well, we finished this one while we're off camera there a little bit. And we're going to pop this into the kiln. And through the magic of video, voila, this is what it's going to look like when it comes out of the kiln. Now you notice that it can smear, and it's got a lot of excess mica on there. That's because it kind of self-adjusts to get just the right amount of mica on there where it gives a nice luster and metallic sheen to it. Now we're using all black back decals here, so these will look the same on this white tile as they do on a black tile. But what we do here, notice how that's going to wash off right there, and that gold's going to look like it's on top of it. So I'm going to go over to the sink and wash this off with a scouring pad. If you want to follow me over there, we'll take a look and see. Here we are over at the sink. Notice how this is kind of just sitting on top right now. This will kind of self-adjusts. So we put a lot on there to make sure that everything gets saturated. But we need to wash a lot of this off to get the best luster out of it. So you just take the sponge and wet it, and I like to do this underneath the sink so it kind of washes it out of the way so it's not floating around, and just kind of give it a little scrub. And notice that the stuff that looks like it's on top will start turn it into the background because it won't stick to one another. In other words, the stuff that you put on first will look like it's in the foreground. But you can see how that really comes out to a nice luster when you scrub the excess off. All right, here's a white one. Same thing. Notice it's just kind of sitting there. And here again, the mica will not stick to one another. So we're going to stick it underneath the faucet and watch how this turns out where it just doesn't stick. You got to scrub it just a little bit. And all the stuff that was put on first will look like it's on top. The stuff that's on the bottom will now come out on top. And notice right there's a little bit there. And you can scrub this fairly vigorously because it's on there to stay. But notice the luster in there. Much more lustrous once you scrub the excess off of it. So there you go. Okay, I'm going to share with you a little trick now. There are some instances where you actually want the decal to float off the paper. When you're working with a very intricate design like this, if you try to slide it off the paper, edges are going to catch and turn under, and you're just going to end up with a big mess. So you allow the intricate designs to float off the paper, and this way you can take your tile and just go underneath it and lift it right up and bring it out, hold it in place, drain the water, put it where you want it, blot it dry. Make sure you get all the little wrinkles out of it, but same thing, but that's the trick. It really works to your advantage sometimes to actually let it float off the paper. Same thing with this little tree. I'll show you how you go underneath it, pull it up, drain the water off of it, get it into position, and then you blot that dry as well. So that's how you get the really intricate decals on your substrate without ruining them. Because if you try to slide them off the paper, all those little edges are going to catch, and it's just, trust me, it's hard to do. Alright, now I want to talk a little bit about the translucent colors and what you can do with those. One of the techniques is that you use the black or white decals. In this case you got black decals on white glass and white decals on black glass. And then you can cover these after you fuse the black or the white onto the glass. In a second firing you can put the translucent satin shimmer over the top of it, and you'll get an effect of turning the dark color into whatever color satin shimmer you put over the top of it. Over here to the left we have some examples of that happening. All of these, most of these, all of them except for the two dichroic ones on the bottom, have had either a black or white decal fired onto it already, and then we have covered it with one of the three lilac, mint, or iris satin shimmer translucent colors and fired those in. So now what I'm going to do is, these have already been fired, so I'm going to clean them off in the water so you'll see what happens to them. This is going to be interesting because this is actually a gold decal that had a satin shimmer put over the top of it, and it turned the background into a nice blue. That was the iris color there. This one should be interesting. It's got like a heart shape. I think this is going to be a two-toned satin shimmer over the skull pattern. This is black glass, a white skull decal, and then you have the lilac outer, the lilac heart, and the iris border on it. We'll continue. Here's the Sweet Pea design in a white decal on black glass, and I think we've put a blue or an iris satin shimmer over the top of it. Here's what we call the scenes. I've actually outlined it with a copper black one, but I put a blue translucent satin shimmer over the black decal. It's on white glass. So let's give this a scrub and see what this looks like. See, it turns it blue. So we can continue with these. This is a black ivy design on white glass. I put a green or mint colored satin shimmer translucent color over the top of it and fuse it on there. Give it a little bit of scrub. And wherever the dark is, that's where the satin shimmer is going to, the translucent satin shimmer is going to show up. So it's a really interesting technique that you can use. Here's another one. It's a bunch of squiggly white lines on black glass with a lilac satin shimmer over the top of it. Give it a bit of a scrub. Now the lilac becomes the background and the white shows through. The lilac's showing because it's on the black. Black makes it pop. Now these are interesting. These two dichroic ones that we did here. These are both the same color on dichroic glass. The one on the right there is a black backed iris or blue, and the one on the left is a translucent blue. So you can see it acts just like dichroic glass. If you got a black backed on it, it's going to show the full color. And then if it's a translucent, it's going to just give it kind of a hint of a heart. So it gives two entirely different techniques. So have fun with these. Let us know what you guys come up with, because this is all really, really new. And we're looking for different ideas, and would love to hear from you. You can contact us at ProFusionStudioGlass.com, or any one of the distributors are going to be carrying these as well. So thanks for tuning in, and happy fusing.